everybody, welcome to the Children's School of Contemporary Art online courses. My name is Lauren Marshall and today I'm going to be taking you through the Learn How to Draw Manga Character Basics. Now in particular, this session we will be covering the female face. In particular, we'll be learning the basic structure of how to compose the face and can be adapted to any of your drawings that you will be doing at home. Now you would have received a small little pack at home that's going to include a few goodies for you. You would have received a little booklet which has got all the steps that we'll be going through today. This will include some detailed drawings and steps for you to follow through, but we will be going through that today as well. Also in your book you will receive 2 pieces of paper. In particular we'll be focusing on this one here. So this one has the basic character composition for the face. This is a template. You do not have to use this, but if you would like to, I will be taking you through that today. You can use a blank bit of paper. Also in your pack you will receive a pencil for sketching. You've got 2 inking pens which I'll take you through later on, an eraser, and also 3 of your blendable markers. If you haven't used these before, don't stress, we'll make sure that we'll go through that as well. Now that's what you've got in your pack, so let's get started. Now here on your sheet you will have a circle, you'll have your lines going down and across, and also a couple of other guidelines there for you to follow through. I will take you through each of these steps on what these lines mean. Now first off, to start your basic character sketch, we will start with the basic circle. You've got that here, but if you wish, just sketch that in. Now remember, this doesn't need to be perfect. This is just a guideline for you to be able to build up and finalize your drawing. We're going to be popping a line straight down. This doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle. As said, just a guideline. Doesn't matter how long they are, we just want a line that's going to be just going a little further down the bottom than up the top. Now this particular line here is going to be the central part for the face. It's going to help you position the eyes, the nose and the mouth. Step 2, we're going to be popping a chin onto our character. Now typically the female character will have a shorter and more rounder shaped chin compared to male. Now on your template you'll see that there's 2 little lines here. Now we're just going to be going to that second line. That's where your chin is going to meet on your paper. So starting from the middle line where your ears typically are, we're just going to create a soft curve going down and meeting up to that point from both sides. Now you want to create more of a point, a soft point down at the middle, because obviously we have a pointy chin. Now step 3, this is where we're going to be popping in our guidelines for our eyes, our nose and our mouth. Typically, the eyes and nose will be further apart compared to the nose and the mouth. We're just going to pop those lines in. And make sure you're doing this quite lightly because we're going to be getting rid of these later after we've inked our work. There you've got your position for everything and it's all set up ready to go. We're just going to pop in step 4 the ears and the neck. So your ears will typically sit between your 2 middle lines here. What we want to do is some little, almost semicircles there attached to the head. If you think about it, more like an egg shape if you complete it. We're just cutting that off. You've got your ears popped on there. For the neck, if you think about it, your neck is a bit of a cylinder. So if you think about a cylinder and how to place it, you're thinking 3D, it'd be easier for you to draw the cylinder in work from there. Step 5. Now this is the step we're going to be popping in our facial features. That'll include our eyes, our nose and our mouth. Now for the female character, you tend to have quite larger, more innocent eyes for your character. You can do any kind of eyes that you like, but this is a typical shape. You pop in a guided circle where you want your basic eyes to go. Here you'll be popping in your nose, and then on this line will be your mouth line, and we'll be popping in a smiley mouth. Now you will see on the following page of your booklet a step-by-step guide on how to draw eyes. With the eyes, as you've got your basic eye shape, you want to start with some simple lines such as an upper eyelid, which is more like a semicircle, and then your lower eyelid, which will be on the bottom of your guided circle. And we're just going to do exactly the same on the other side. Once you have your upper and lower eyelid, we're just going to pop in a bit of an oval shape that's slightly cut off at the top. Exactly the same on the other side. We're just going to define these lines a little bit more, how you want the shape of your eye to be. Here you can start putting in your eyelashes. Think about what kind of eyebrows do you want. Now when you get to your eyebrows, they will follow that natural curve of the upper eyelid. So you would just put it maybe about a centimetre above and follow that natural curve, going slightly higher at the end. We want to be thicker at the beginning and meet at a point for the end. You want to do exactly the same on the other side. Now you've got your basic shape for your eyes. Now we're going to be doing the detail on the inside of the eyes. Now this can be a little bit tricky. We're going to be placing the shine and also the pupil within the eye. And the easiest part is to decide which direction is your point of light going to be coming from. For myself, I'm going to choose this side. My light's going to be shining onto my character from this side. So that would mean that my main shimmer in my eyes is going to be coming from that angle. And once you've put your shimmer in the eyes, the reflection, then you want to just trace in your pupil, which will follow that initial shape that we did for the eye. You can shade that in. Now the shading doesn't need to be perfect, as we're going to be inking over the top. And there you have your basic eyes. Now for the nose, you will be following slightly triangular shape. Now considering our light source is coming from this side, we're going to be doing the shadow on the opposite side. So here, using that triangular shape, we're just going to shade in that side and not worry about the other side. Typically in manga and anime drawings, they tend to have a more simplified triangular shape for the nose. Now for your mouth, following that line, you can either do a plain smiling face. I'm going to do slightly open. Pop the tongue in there. Just create a small divot for that bottom lip. Just shade the inside of the mouth. There's your basic character face. Now at this stage, this is where we want to start defining our features a little bit more and deciding what we want to pop in. So I'm just going to define that face a little bit more so it's not too round. And don't forget about your guidelines. See how my chin, where my chin starts, I'm following this guideline here where the nose is. So now with step 6 of the face, this is where we're just going to pop in our guideline for our hair. So your hair has a natural hairline. You can see mine here, it follows up, divots down and comes back down. If you see on your template there is a curve here that you can follow. We don't want to go all the way to that curve, we just want to do a little bit higher and then down to the ears, and that will be your forehead here. Now the reason that we do a hairline, because this is going to keep it consistent of where our hair is going to be coming from. So if you have a fringe and you have a hairline, I'm going to pop my hairline here, kind of like a side part, then I know that that's where my hair is going to be coming from. So this is where you can get a little bit creative. I'm going to be doing a very basic hairstyle, but this is a chance for you to be able to do any kind of hairstyle that you like. So following from the page that has the eye step by step, you will also have a page to show you some hair basics. Now in there we'll also go through your hairline as well. So when creating hair, particularly for manga and anime, we want to make sure that we are starting thicker from the beginning of the hair and the ends of the hair. Don't want to do so much detail in the middle. Your brain is actually really smart, and when you start to do the details at the top and the bottom, it automatically fills in the middle. Your brain will be able to tell that it is hair. So I'm going to give her a bit of a side fringe. And this is, considering this is my part, I'm going to be coming from there. You see how I'm doing more detail at the beginnings and at the ends, and then given that this is my part, I'm going to come to the other side now. And there's your basic face for your sketch. At this stage, go back through, make any tweaks that you want if there's something that you're not happy with, or if you want to change a little bit to the hairstyle, but this is a chance for you to really knuckle down your design, and then we'll be going on to the inking stage. Now that you've completed your sketch and you're happy to go ahead, we're going to start inking it. As mentioned before, you've got 2 different inking pens in your little take-home pack. You'll have a nice little thin one, and you'll also have a little bit of a thicker one. That's up to you which way you want to go, but it's good to do a little bit of a combination because we're going to talk about what I call line weights. And line weights can give your character a little bit more depth and also add a bit of weight. Whether it's to the hair or to the joints of the body, it'll just elevate your character a little bit more. So I'm going to start off with my little thin one. Now my tip always is start smaller before you go bigger, because as soon as you go bigger there's no turning back. So you can always create larger lines if you're not happy with your smaller ones. Now you can also build up your lines with the same pen. So don't be afraid to keep going over those lines and building something a little bit more thicker. When it comes to doing long, controlled strokes, my favourite tip is to anchor your hand on a smooth surface where you can actually drag it down instead of trying to control it off the paper. As soon as you start lifting your hand off the paper and trying to do a nice smooth line, your hand can start to shake, and that's when it will become a little bit uneven. If you anchor your hand down, pop it where you need and just drag down, and lifting off with a flick at the end, you'll be left with nice smooth lines. Now once you finish your inking, make sure that you leave it, put it aside, wait for it to dry, and then we'll continue on with the colouring. But there is your basic female manga face. Okay, so now we've got our basic female face inked and ready to go for colouring. And we're going to be talking about using our blendable alcohol-based markers. You've got 3 in your pack, but if you have more at home, use those. You can go as crazy as you like here, but this is a good start for you to learn how to use the basics of the markers themselves. I'm just going to pop this little one aside for now, just so you guys can see how to use them. Feel free to practice yourself. But we've got here, I've got 3 basic colours. In your pack, you will get 3 basic colours for you to use. Doesn't matter which one you use for now if you're going to be practicing, but I'm just going to show you some basics on how to do it. So with your alcohol-based marker, you've got 2 different ends. You've got a chisel edge, which is good for doing larger spaces, and you do have your hard tip nib. And the hard tip nib is good for doing your finer work and getting those details in nooks and crannies. So with your alcohol-based markers, they can be a little bit tricky to use. So the good thing about these is that they are blendable. So whilst they're wet, you can keep blending with different shades of these markers to create a smooth gradient. But also the little bonus thing about these is that you can also create different shades even just with one marker. So I'm just going to let this dry for a second. So I've let it dry, and then if I go over the top of it again, see how it creates a darker shade? So if you need to do certain shading around the face or in the hair, you can still do it with one marker. Okay, so back to our face. Now I've kept the light source there for me, so I know exactly where my shading is going to go on my character. So I've got a light skin tone for this one. Now it's good to just work quite quickly. Try not to go over the lines. Sometimes they can bleed. Now we want to work with this whilst it's quite wet, because then you won't get so many streaks going through. So I've got my first shading of my skin tone on my character, and I'm just going to let that sit for a little bit so then I can go through and start doing some shading on it. Okay, so I've let it sit just like we've done before. Now I'm going to go through and start doing some shadows and some basic shading around the face. Now keeping in mind our light source, our lightest point is going to be on this side of the face and the darkest point is going to be on the opposite side. So I'm going to start with the darkest side. I'm just going to shape the face, just making that side darker. So see how you see that's created that bit more of a rounder shape to her face. Now given that the light source is coming from this side, we want to make this side of the nose darker. And then we want to go in and make sure that we're shaping the eyes as well. Now you can repeat this process 2 to 3 times to create different levels of shading for the face. Now one thing that some people do tend to forget is the shadow that happens from your hair. So the same thing's going to happen. If my light source is coming from this side and her fringe is coming across her face, then I've got a shadow that happens underneath her fringe, just here. The same goes for the rest. Now you do have a shading grey that you can use. And this you can use for the eyes if you like, just to give it a bit more depth. Just filling in those irises, give them a bit of colour. You just want to pop a little bit of shadow underneath the eyelid. I'm just repeating the process of layering up my markers and some more shadow and depth. Now we're getting onto the hair. I'm going to be using the same technique of anchoring my hand so that I keep a little bit more control on my strokes. Small tip I can give you for using the alcohol markers is to follow the actual hair strands that you are going to be popping down. Sometimes with the markers they do become a little bit grainy, and if you're going to be following that natural hairline, then it will work in your favour. I'm using the same rule as I said when we were drawing the inking for the hair, is to do more detail at the beginning of the hair and at the base of the hair. On the middle part, that's usually where it's quite light and airy and has a lot more flow to it, so you don't need to worry about bunching it up so much. And then the same rule applies here when you're layering it up. Then I'm leaving this middle section here slightly lighter because my light source is hitting the top of that hair. Remember not to forget your shadows as well. And there you have it, your basic shading for your manga feet up character.